it's time for the Hambleden Pairs Challenge Cup, and this is the one oar per person in these two boats. On the left of the picture, University of London Imperial College, and on the right it's Leander Club. So we have two great women's pairs, Lindberg and Witt on the left of the picture, and Donald and Bellamy on the right.
I saw Lindberg and Witt's race, followed that closely yesterday in commentary. They beat the Krakauer sisters from Germany and you know, were very aggressive out. As you can see, they are here. Probably weren't necessarily the favourites yesterday, but they took that race by the scruff of its neck, and they're doing the same here again against, you know, incredible athletes, Flo Donald and Daisy Bellamy, who are, you know, the future of GB squad rowing, also racing in the town here. But they're having a lot of questions asked of them by Emily and Elizabeth again.
Yeah, Lindberg and Witt, Emily and Elizabeth have really taken a flyer, haven't they? That's a fantastic start that they've taken. They've capitalised on it a little bit further, but the Leander pair seems now to be holding, and we're just about 200 metres further down the track. So Leander on their home water, looking to be composing themselves for the next phase of the race. They've got to stay on terms and then be more efficient and push on through. But it looks to me like, well, you know, the attack is still pretty strong on the right of our picture in the pair from Imperial and University of London. That's Emily and Elizabeth.
And they've just got that good understanding. You can sort of see it and feel it and smell it in the crew, that Elizabeth and Emily, they know what they're going to do, they know their plan, they know to react, and they're doing things together. And that is so important in the pair. You're absolutely dependent on the other person. You can't go anywhere without the other person. If you have an argument, you can't get back to the boathouse. So you need to really develop the skills of how you're going to respond, how you're going to row. And they're getting, you know, a lot out of themselves, rowing really efficiently. And at the moment, the power that should be there for Flo and Daisy, they're just not making it, translating it into boat speed yet.
So we've just watched double sculls where the athletes have 2 oars each, which means, as you say, they've got more balance either side. You have been incredibly successful, world champion in the pair previously with our previous commentator, Kath Granger. What an afternoon we've got in the commentary box here. Tell us a bit about what the contrast is between rowing a pair and rowing a double when you've got just 1 oar each. What do you have to think about? What's different?
So one of the things that I think a good analogy is to imagine you're a tightrope walker, except you're on water this time, and your pole has been cut in half, and so you've got to balance the boat, but you've only got half the pole, and the other person has the other half. That's the challenge, the balance challenge you have constantly, and how closely you need to work together, and, you know, be aware that everything you do affects the other person. It is the ultimate sort of totally dependent on the other person. It's a beautiful thing once you get it working together, and that shot shows there's a lovely rhythm. They're coming together, they're traveling up in the recovery together, they're coming away from the back together. So then, you know, they're getting a lot out of themselves, and that's what you're trying to do. Be efficient, make sure that the effort you put in goes into moving the boat, goes into levering, and not into trying to balance or fight the other person, which can happen in a pair.
So a masterclass really from Kath there of how to think about rowing in a pair, and a pretty good masterclass here from Emily Lindberg at bow and Elizabeth Witt at stroke in that University of London Imperial College crew there, who are sitting in the lead. But let's look now at Leander. That's Flo Donald and Daisy Bellamy of Leander Club. You can see a bit more pain on those faces. They can't see where the other crew is. I guess one of the other challenges in pairs racing here at Henley is you don't quite know how far the others are, apart from looking behind at those signals boards.
It's tough, and of course these athletes are also doubling up in the town. So you've got that. Have you got the skills to row the pair and hop out and row in the 4 and just make the adjustments, the instinctive adjustments? And sometimes the water here can make that harder. And in a pair, again, it can, you know, pull you apart sometimes if you feel the balance isn't quite there. Is it your partner? Is it the water? And so they'll be doing a lot of adjusting there. And I just think maybe that's challenged them. They've perhaps had their heads on. They're rowing the 4, and they've sort of brought that in and just made to make some little tweaks to the rhythm, to the timing around the finish in order to get the power on, and so at the moment it's just not kind of flowing for them. So
do you think, being down as they are, and they can see from the signals board they've got quite a clear water gap now between them and the opposition, do you think they'll be thinking, okay, we now need to conserve, we're not going to be able to get this back on terms, so we need to think about the other event? Or do you just have that pride that you've just got to put everything into every race? How do you do it?
These are up-and-coming athletes, and they're aspiring to get to the highest level, so they're going to want to fight. The thing is, how smart, at the time you're putting all this effort in, can you find the right thing that gets the stable platform, that gets you back on track? Is it setting up off the finish and then adding some more power on? You know, what is it that's going to help you get speed? It's probably not more effort, but cleverer application of the effort, and a bit of getting your spirits up, the motivation up. This isn't going how they wanted, and so they've got to find something extra. But sometimes those are the best races when you search for it and find the key. But at the moment, they can't find the key to unlock the best boat speed that they're maybe capable of.
And here they are in this boat in the swirly central part of the court, just coming to the stewards' enclosure. The boat moving around still. We saw this earlier. It's almost like a miniature sort of cyclone, a plug hole. The water and the air moving around, and the athletes have been struggling with that. You can see that struggle with the steering. And that's not helping the Leander crew, who are further out into the middle of the river here, just by the nature of the course, right?
You can just see it on the recovery, which of course is the second point at which the boat is moving. We can see the application of effort in the Leander blades there, but it's what's happening on the recovery, where there's a lot of bouncing around. The boat itself is moving, the athletes aren't that comfortable. They're maybe not getting quite far forward, or not necessarily applying the power in the oars at the furthest point to get effective length. And so those things just take a notch off the boat speed, and then, you know, at a point where you want to be able to respond, and it doesn't look like they can respond. And look at this, really smooth. In between the efforts in the oars, the boat is just running for Emily and Elizabeth.
Yeah, we said it's a bit of a masterclass actually in pairs rowing through tricky conditions, and of course now they're ahead, they're able to relax more, but it takes a lot of experience to row really well under pressure in tough conditions in a small boat like this.
Great learning for Flo and Daisy. They're going to probably have some frustrations after this, but so many lessons will come out of this. What are the calls we could have done? How would we reset it? How would we actually set off from the start? You know, and what do we still need to learn? Because this is a sport that's about infinite learning.
So Emily Lindberg at bow and Elizabeth Witt at stroke take victory in the Hambleden Pairs over Flo Donald and Daisy Bellamy from Leander Club. Well done to them.